nobody wants to take more than 30 seconds to do anything anymore. They hear a narrative that kind of fits their idea of what it should be, and they just jump on that and run with it. Well, maybe educate yourself first and see what both sides. And I know I come across on our show as being one-sided. I am willing to listen to anybody's opinion, and I think everybody has a right to have a voice.
Welcome to Shaping the Basin. I'm here with Mike, and I should have asked you first, but how do you say your last name?
Germolus.
Germolus.
Yeah.
I was going to guess that, but I would have been a little off on the pronunciation. So Big Rooster Media.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. What made you want to start a podcast?
Well, a couple of things. One, I was getting ready to retire and needed something to kind of keep me occupied. And I probably spend too much time on social media, and I just got tired of seeing people talk bad about Klamath Falls, Klamath County. And so I wanted to do something that would shine a light on the community we live in. I love it here. Does it have its faults? Sure. But there's so much positive stuff to overrule those that I wanted to bring a positive light to Klamath Falls, share new businesses and things. And it's taken some turns, but in general, it's kept me busy.
Mm-hmm.
and I think we've done a fairly decent job of showing the better side of Klamath.
Yeah. How long have you been doing it now?
Let me see. This past April was a year. So
Okay.
this wrapping up season 2 in November or December. We'll wrap up our second season.
All right. A little over a year then, it sounds like.
Yeah, a year and a half or so.
Okay. And you have What's Up Klamath Falls is one of the episodes. Do you have different podcasts?
So we have technically 3 different shows. We have What's Up Klamath Falls. And then we're starting a new, because we've been doing interviews pretty much since the very beginning. But when we do the interview, that had superseded just our regular me and Dave just sharing news stories and that. So we're changing it to our interview episodes will be on Wednesdays. Regular What's Up Klamath Falls is Tuesday. And on Wednesdays, it'll be Spotlight On. And whatever the topic is of our interview, it'll be a spotlight on that. So it'll bring that to light. So we have the 2 What's Up Klamath Falls. We also have Day Drinking with Mike and Dave. And we do bourbon. Dave and I are both bourbon guys. Dave Freimeyer is my partner in this. Mm-hmm. And so we'll definitely do bourbon reviews and cocktails, but we also tequila. I mean, we don't really care. We share cocktail recipes and we try to make them season specific, I guess you'd say. So summer drinks in the summertime and some of the darker, heavier stuff in the wintertime. We have a lot of fun with that. And then the third one, and I'm not sure what its future looks like right now, is Unbalanced. And that's just a bunch of guys getting together being dumb guys. But It's kind of fun. My friends kind of pushed me to do it. We do have a lot of fun doing it. And it's gotten from eating surströmming, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or not.
No.
It's basically rotten Danish fish in a can. My good friend that owns the Coop Lounge put us up to that. We've eaten 9 million Scoville gummy bears on there and just a bunch of guys not acting their age and having a good time.
Acting a little unbalanced.
It's definitely unbalanced.
Questioning mental health. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you if you watched it and thought that. So, but we have a good time. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned you retired. What did you do before you were a podcaster?
I drove a fuel truck for Ed Staub and Sons.
Okay.
So pretty much covered from the south side of Klamath Falls down to Tianesta and everywhere in between.
Okay.
So.
And you have been involved in some nonprofit work over the years?
I have. So I'm also, and I talk about it briefly on the show once in a while, but I'm the president of the Rip City Riders here in town. And everything that we do, we're a 501c3 nonprofit. And it's all for children's charities. And we insist that whatever donations that we do make stay in the Klamath Basin. So we're here to take care of our own. And nothing against charities that branch out and give gifts to other counties and that. But our goal is to take care of people in our own neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing that keeps me pretty busy in retirement.
Nice. Well, I want to dig into that because you mentioned you started this podcast because you love it here.
I do.
And we can probably both agree that sometimes our own self-image of our community suffers in this community,
Yep,
correct?
absolutely.
Have you spent any time thinking about why that is?
I have. Um, that's kind of a touchy subject, honestly. The political climate has changed in the last, say, 20 years in Oregon. And it seems like not just here in town, but maybe even not statewide, but nationwide, there's more of a disparaging look on what used to be normal. And I think that's kind of taken place here. People, I don't really know how to put it, it make the most of where you're at. Don't look for the negatives. Don't because you can make anything negative. I don't care where you're at or what you're doing. Um, Stop. People just seem to want to be negative. I don't know if it's social media that brings that on. There's a lot of social media warriors out there, and that, but try to make the best of where you're at. I mean, the more people, in my opinion, assume that attitude that, hey, I love it here. This is a great community. It is what you make of it. It'll become that.
Mhm.
And so, but yeah, that's a hard question to answer, honestly.
I know, watching some of your episodes and having had some conversations with you, I know you love it here. You're also definitely willing to dig in on some of the things that you don't maybe appreciate about our community. So, how do you manage that? How do you know there's an issue, but you also love it here?
It's a fine line, but one issue, no matter what it is, it's still, if it's just one issue, does not supersede all of the positives. And so I try to keep that in mind. One thing nice about doing everything myself out of my own studio, and that is I'm not beholden to anyone. I can pretty much speak my mind, and I don't have to worry about somebody from HR tapping me on the shoulder saying, "Hey, you shouldn't have said that." Or, I mean, I'll let the public reaction, I guess, speak for itself. Um, but at the same time, by calling out what I see as deficiencies or problems or whatever, um, maybe they can get fixed where that's not an issue anymore. And so we really do try to keep things on an upbeat
Mhm.
tone for the most part. But yeah, if there's something that is an issue that needs to be addressed that could make this a better community, we'll address that too.
Has there been anything you've addressed that you've seen a positive change so far?
Hmm. No.
Okay. That's okay.
um, yeah, that's a good. You caught me off guard on that one. There's one major one, and I'm not going to go into specifics on it today.
That's fine.
I think we both know, but yeah, I guess there is. I think that our county commissioners, honestly, that the group that we have right now is probably the best group of county commissioners that we've had since I've lived here, and I know them all. I've been fortunate to interview a couple of them. But I think that they, from three different unique perspectives, all have the best for Klamath Falls and Klamath County at heart. And did I affect that change? No, I don't think so. But it's a change that I've seen that I see as a good thing, that we have a group of commissioners, and I know everybody's got their own opinion about all of them also. But knowing and talking to them all, I see that I really truly believe in their hearts they are wanting to do the best for Klamath County.
Hmm. Um, I I obviously pay attention to some social media as well, and I noticed that, or I guess my question is, do you think that there's a little bit of disconnect when people? Do you think there's people that just don't understand how government and that kind of thing works? And how much do you think that plays into our dissatisfaction with where we live?
Oh, I think that's a huge factor. I was guilty of it myself on a couple of different instances that I've since been educated on our water rights and how water distribution and all that is handled. I learned a lot, and kudos to Ryan Cleaver and Gene Susan at Klamath Irrigation District for educating me. Um, so Yeah, people need to take the time before you just react. And that's a problem. People will just react without understanding the whole process. Same with our law enforcement. Not a lot of what um, they get blamed for here locally is their fault locally. It's a state issue.
Mhm.
And until it gets resolved at the state level, these officers, deputies, and that are all beholden to the methods of this, the rules they're bound by the state. And I've been learning that as time goes by as well. So,
Yeah.
and I think that you going back to your question of social media, nobody wants to take more than 30 seconds to do anything anymore. They hear a narrative that kind of fits their idea of what it should be, and they just jump on that and run with it. Well, maybe educate yourself first and see what both sides. And I know I come across on our show as being one-sided. I am willing to listen to anybody's opinion, and I think everybody has a right to have a voice. And I encourage that. So having a voice is one thing, turning into a violent protest or degrading somebody else because of that is a different thing. So yeah, I think it's definitely an issue. People need to take some time before they just jump on a bandwagon.
I have seen several times over the last year where somebody will post something and say, I haven't had time to check if this is true, but this is interesting. And I'm like, then why did you even
Right.
share it if you don't even know if it's true?
Right.
And with AI and everything now, sometimes it's hard to tell.
It's gonna be a nightmare down the road.
It's very interesting. I
Yeah.
almost fell for one. I almost shared a story of a leopard on a narwhal.
Yeah.
And I was like, this doesn't even seem plausible, and it wasn't. But I almost shared it because it seemed like a cool story.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about the podcast. What's been your favorite part about doing it?
Well, first off, Dave and I have been best friends for years, and just hanging out with my buddy and doing it is a lot of fun. But when we go out in public and there are people recognize, and not it's not that often. It's not like we're super small town famous or anything, but when they come up and compliment us on the show, hey, I watch your podcast or your show, and I like what you guys are doing. That feels good, and it's happened at like Third Thursday and at the cruise car show and stuff where people will acknowledge, the program. And it's just nice to know that people out there are enjoying it. I'm hoping that whoever it is, that they get something positive from it. So
what's something you've learned doing it?
We just talked about it. Don't jump to conclusions before you know what you're talking about. And so I could give you an example if you want one.
Sure.
And I've shared it on my show, but it was over a year ago. A letter went out to the water users that A or B and C were not going to get any water, and water was sent by Ryan from the Klamath. He's not KID. It's part of the water distribution system. And so I just flat called him out. I'm like, hey, this guy is sending out a letter. You guys aren't going to get any water. Here's his phone number. Give him a call if you're not happy about it. And absolutely not fair, because again, I had zero education about how that worked, and it was the shooting the messenger kind of thing. Thankfully, he was very gracious. He came on the show. He was very nice. I was waiting for him to punch me in the nose when I answered the door. And now I consider us friends. He's a great guy, and I'm very educated on what their limitations are. I tell you, anybody that works in the water part of the government here is one of the most thankless jobs that anybody could have. And kudos to them for doing it, because you've got angry farmers on one side and you've got the government on the other side, and they are the rock and hard place. And man, the fact that they put up with it and work tirelessly at trying to work on it. So yeah, definitely don't put the cart before the horse. Know what you're talking about.
Do a little bit of research or dig in. We talk a lot about leadership traits or personality and things. I imagine if I would have put that message out and saw a call coming in from Rai, did you have like what's this call about moment? Did you have a pit in the bottom of your stomach?
It didn't quite go down that way. So he didn't have my number. He called Dave, poor guy. He had Dave's number. on a Sunday evening about 7:30 and said, "You guys need to open up your studio and we need to record this tonight and you need to fix it." And unfortunately, we weren't able to do that, but we got him in the next opportunity and gave him a chance to view his point of view. But when Dave called me, I'm like, "Oops, might have stepped on the wrong toes there." But if there was a positive of that, it's that one, we developed a relationship, and two, I got educated and I know a whole lot better about how the water rights and that operate here. So if anybody's ever curious about that, Gene Souza, KID, that guy is a living encyclopedia of everything that goes on in Klamath County. He's an amazing person to talk to. So
Yeah. Well, I like that you were able to take that little bit of a lesson and apply it to everything else. That's pretty cool. I think it can be hard for us sometimes when we make a mistake and have to eat crow a little bit. So that's an important trait.
The hard part is when that there's two sides to a story, and you are covering one because you have a willing participant that's going to come and talk to you about whatever that issue is. And then you reach out to the other side repeatedly and you never, you become biased without wanting to become biased because you only have one side of a story to share. Fortunately, there's not a whole lot of that, but some of the bigger stories that we've covered are that way, and it's frustrating.
Right.
So,
what do you love about Klamath?
I'm an outdoors person. Well, one, I like small towns, and I mean downtown. Stand back and take a minute and look at downtown as a non-biased perspective, and it's just a cool vibe down there. And then I'm an outdoors person. I used to be a snow skier, not so much anymore. But I ride motorcycles, we camp, we kayak. I mean, and all of that is in our backyard here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just love there's fun places to go in town. It's Whiskey Mint Saloon or the Tap House or Ross Raglan has a lot of events. Retro Room Records, my buddy Jim down there has some great stuff going on all the time. So I just love that small town vibe that we still have. People look out for each other.
It's easy to get lost. Don't know which path to take, what to post. In the social media jungle, video is king. Your kids are obsessed, your customers are addicted, we're all hooked, and social media sites prioritize videos. So when you're ready to stand out from the crowd, reach out to 40 Deuce Films. Feeling over everything.
How long have you lived here?
20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been here 17, so close to the same.
Yeah.
What changes have you noticed over the last 20 years? Good or bad?
I think that there is more, I brought you up, and I'm not trying, I don't know where the guidelines are here, but like the Garage Tap House or Whiskey Benson, there's people opening up businesses that are just fun locations to congregate and hang out. It's not like the old King Falls, no disrespect to them, but these older establishments, they're right for some people, but the younger people need somewhere to go and something to do. And I'm starting to see more of that taking place, and maybe a little elevated type of environment. I'm not sure how else to put it. And then there's just positive things. We had the bubble run not too long ago, and the color run, and I mean all these positive things that are going on in the community. So I see that as the good side, but we definitely have a drug problem in Klamath County. We definitely have a homeless problem. And I don't know what the answer is there. I've talked to the county commissioners about it. I mean, budget shortfalls, I think, have a lot to do with it. And then the law enforcement having their hands tied as far as what they can actually do to address that. I know Commissioner Nichols has talked about a while ago that there should be some kind of a liaison where people can help those people out and not just kick them to the side or run them out of town because they're going to go somewhere else or they're going to move to another block. They need a good, solid, they need help. Tyus Yachts, I don't know if you're familiar with them. We interviewed them a month or so ago, and they are exactly what the county needs. They take care of people that are trying to transition from being homeless to having a career, and we need more of that, honestly.
We had Tammy from Taya's Yachts on several months ago. I can't remember exactly when, but it was interesting to learn about that. I think it's interesting to think. I like when local people get involved in trying to solve some of our local issues versus someone coming in from the outside. And I think that's what Taya's Yachts is doing, and there's other organizations doing the same way. That coming up with solutions for the local that feels good that people can get involved in.
Yeah, there's help there if people want to make that step up. There's definitely a means to do that, and like Tyus Yachts is a great example of somewhere where people can go and get that hand up that they need. So.
What can people expect if they were watching one of your episodes? Like, let's focus on what's Up Klamath Falls.
Okay.
What can people expect on that?
We will typically cover local events, whatever, like this week's episode that airs now. We're just before Halloween, but, there's all kinds of different Halloween activities going on. So we'll talk about that. New restaurants, we'll usually bring them up. We'll do a food review occasionally. But then we'll delve a little deeper into some news stories that maybe aren't pleasant. There's a Gurlette estate, and I don't know if you followed that story or not. That's not a pleasant story to tell, but I think that it's important that people know, and hopefully it'll affect some change down the road. It needs to. It really does. There's too much going on there that it can't be ignored, in my opinion. So that's why we cover it.
Yeah.
So
if you could change one thing in our community, what would it be?
That's a tough question. I have several answers to that. And about two of them I'm not going to give you. So
that's all right.
I just wish that people would sit back and look at Klamath County for what it offers, not for its faults. I guess that's the thing I would change. I think if people would actually try to appreciate what we have here, it wouldn't, again, translate into a better environment. I think people would be happier because I came from the East Bay area, and it's horrible down there. I still have family I go visit. I'm not a fan. And you come to an area like this, and I think maybe it's people that grew up here that have never experienced a different environment that think that the world's better somewhere else. Maybe get out and try living in Portland for a while, or Oakland, or somewhere like that, Stockton, and then come back and see what Klamath has to offer, and I think you'll appreciate it more.
Yeah. What do you hope never changes in our community?
Small town and vibe, that small town feel. I think you can have a larger town and still have that feel to it. And I do think that growth is important to some degree, but I think controlled, thoughtful growth is the key.
I've never asked this question before. We've talked a lot on this podcast actually about that small town feel. And I've never asked, what do you think is the small town feel? If somebody said, what does small town feel like? What would you say?
Well, for example, we have a new intro on What's Up Klamath Falls. It shares a bunch of pictures. And while I was on Main Street taking that, Charlie and, shame on me, he does the piercings down there, Darren? Ryan. They were both out in front of Retro Room, and as I'm walking down the street, I hear people hollering at me and stuff. And that walking down Main Street and you run into people that you know, you don't get that in big cities. It's rare. I mean, you might once in a while, but I guarantee I could walk down Main Street right now and run into 4 or 5 people that I know. It drives my wife nuts when we go to Third Thursday because we only get to visit about half of what we want to, because we run into so many people that we know, which is awesome. But I love I love that about living here, and I hope that never changes.
Yeah, that's excellent answer.
Yeah.
Um, if I gave you $250,000 to make a change in our community by the end of the day, what would you do with it?
Oh boy. Unfortunately, 250,000 doesn't go as far as it used to these days. Um, I would try to find a way to invest that either directly in an organization like Iowa Integrated Youth Services or Tyus Yaks, or to start my own version of that. But that's kind of limited funds to take on an endeavor like that. I'd like to do something to help address the drug and homeless problem in town.
Mhm.
And it's not, how do I want to say it? Those people need help. It's not like they're just sweep them under the rug or cast them aside. They need help. And I would like to see that money go towards that. And I would have to really investigate what would be the most effective path to take with that money. But that's where I would go with it.
I like it. If you were planning your perfect day from like the moment you get up to the evening in Klamath, what would it be?
Oh boy. Probably would start with, well, I don't have my motorcycle anymore because it got totaled, but a perfect day, I would still have my motorcycle and I would hop on that. And I would probably go up around, I don't know, Lake of the Woods or up to Crater Lake or Crescent Lake and Diamond Lake. I don't know. I like the woods. I like the lakes and that. And yeah, just spend the day out running around with a couple of my friends on motorcycles, which we've done. But boy, that's hard to beat as a perfect day.
What time of year would it be?
About now. I
Fall.
think this weather, fall,
Mhm.
not going to be too hot. Probably not going to get rained on. Yeah, this is perfect riding weather.
Mhm.
So
Um, tell me about one of your role models.
one of my role models. Um, Sadly, one of them was Charlie Kirk. And I know that's a touchy subject too, but I respected everything that man did, and I watched him fairly often. And that's kind of where my perspective changed as far as people that I didn't agree with. I used to just shut them down. I didn't want to hear anything. Don't want to. And watching him and his willingness to have a dialogue and hand a microphone to somebody that was going to stand there and insult them, or he knew it wasn't going to be good, and he was still willing to give that person a microphone and give them a voice. He disagreed with a lot of them, but he never belittled them as a person. It was never personal. He would go after their thoughts, or not their thought. He would go after their perspective and challenge them to see his perspective or a Christian perspective. And sometimes they would, sometimes they wouldn't, but he would never tell them that they were dumb or stupid or belittle them for the way that they thought. He just tried to share a different perspective. And man, we need that so bad.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of where I'm at with what I'm doing is I am willing to give a microphone to anybody, and we might not agree, but I'll hear you out.
Mhm.
So I just would expect the same in return.
Yeah. Is that ever hard to do? Do you ever does it come easy to you to have that conversation or listen to somebody that is very different from your viewpoint? Or have you had to work at that?
I have had to work. It all depends on. We can have a dialogue. I can have a completely opposite ends of the spectrum sitting here and have a dialogue like this, and we can absolutely disagree. But if it's a dialogue like this, I don't have a problem with it. But when the finger pointing starts and the name calling, and that, to me, when you start name calling, you've lost the argument.
Mhm.
And so, and that happens way too easy anymore. And so I'm trying to find and I'm at fault. I'm not perfect by any means. And there are times when I will just be reactive too. And social media is horrible for that. I'm guilty of it there. But my goal is to keep that open perspective, share my view, hear yours. We can agree, we can disagree. Maybe we can both learn a little something from each other. But the only way you could do that is if you're having a conversation and not a screaming match.
Yeah.
So
I like that. Uh, one last question.
Sure.
You talked about bourbon, so what's your favorite?
Stag.
Okay.
Yep.
Why?
To me, it's high proof. I had and it varies too, depending on release to release. Right now, it's 132.9, the bottle I have at home. But it is still a fairly easy one to drink. It's just so rich in flavor. And Stag is definitely my favorite, although there's a lot of them that are, Bardstown makes great bourbons, and there's so many. We went back to Kentucky and did the Bourbon Trail last year, and got to sample some great stuff. I brought 21 bottles back with me. Yeah. Luckily, my wife is a bourbon enthusiast as well, so I didn't have too much of a fight to put up there. But yeah.
Nice. For anybody who's not watching, I know one thing that I hear people ask about a lot is what's the difference between bourbon and whiskey?
There's several differences, and so bourbon has to be 51% corn. It has to be aged in a new white oak barrel, chartered white oak barrel. It's not like Jack Daniel's could be a bourbon if it wasn't cold charcoal filtered. That's what takes it away from being a bourbon. A lot of people think that it has to be made in Kentucky. That's not true. It just has to meet the standards. However, it does have to be made in the United States. It can't be from anywhere, Canada or Europe or anywhere else. It has to be U.S. made. And shame on me, there's two others that I'm completely blanking on right now. Because all bourbons are whiskeys, not all whiskeys are bourbons, is my favorite way of putting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that. You mentioned on one of your shows that you give cocktail recipes. Do you have a favorite cocktail?
I have one that's a gin-based cocktail, and that is called the White Linen. And it is fantastic. And I'm sorry, but you'll have to do a little research on Day Drinking with Mike and Dave to get the recipe for that.
Okay.
And then just an old fashioned with whiskey. To me, that's just the root of a good bourbon cocktail, because old fashioned is just the whiskey, some simple syrup, some bitters, and throw a cherry in there if you want, a little bit of orange, around the rim. It doesn't take away from the flavor of the bourbon. And that's kind of key to me. I'm not mixing a whole bunch of other ingredients. I'm sweetening it up a little bit. The bitters add a little something to it. And experiment. I have got like 14 different varieties of bitters at home. So it's always fun to experiment and see what you come up with there. But to me, that you can't beat a good old fashioned.
Yeah. Do you make them yourself, I'm assuming, since you have all those bitters?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you didn't want to make one yourself, where's the best one you've ever had?
The best old fashioned I've ever had. I got to give a shout out to my buddy Kyle at the Coop Lounge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here in Klamath is the best one you ever had.
Oh man. Here or
anywhere. It can be here.
I'm trying to think. When we were in Kentucky, we had some pretty good ones. I would have to say maybe the Jim Beam Distillery. They made a pretty good old fashioned. Wasn't high enough proof. For me, a mixed drink with bourbon in it, you need a higher proof bourbon to really bring the flavor through. So, and I'd have to go local, honestly, on that.
All right.
I had some great ones back in Kentucky, but I'd have to go local.
Totally. I always like that answer when it's someone local that makes the best. Well, thank you for your time today.
Absolutely.
And I'll put a link in the show notes to your podcast.
Okay.
I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Heather. It was, I'm so happy that you invited me to be on here, and really do appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you to our producer, 40 Deuce Films.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.